Hi, I'm Lydia. I never knew my mother because she died right after I was born. However, I never felt like I was lacking anything thanks to my dad. We had always been best friends. My dad owned a company and we never wanted for money. We even used to have a housekeeper. She retired though, so Dad and I had to do the cooking and cleaning ourselves. We tried really hard, but our attempts at cooking usually ended up in complete failure. See the pasta hanging from the chandelier? That's the result of us trying to cook. Something went terribly wrong, and the pan turned into a volcano. This is the first and last time I tried cooking. Should we just order a pizza? That's probably for the best, Dad. My life was quite ordinary. I went to school, had a cool friend called Susan, and had a favorite hobby. Check this out. That's my synthesizer. I like to play it and sing my own songs. However, one day, I got into big trouble. Before I get to the most interesting part, please like this video. What was I saying? Oh, right, my troubles. I studied well. However, I'd never been good at math. Numbers, equations, formulas, it all made my head spin. I wasn't really worried about it though. After all, I dreamed of becoming a musician and not a scientist. However, my grades started slipping since I kept failing tests, and that had serious consequences. Lydia, you have an important exam in a month. If you fail it, you won't be allowed to take part in the talent contest. Holy cookies! That was unacceptable. I'd spent an eternity preparing for that contest. After all, a well-known producer was going to be one of the judges. She often found talented kids at school competitions and promoted them. I didn't want to miss my chance. I had to figure out how to pass that damn test. I asked Susan for advice, but she just shrugged helplessly. Sorry, Lydia, I'm not good at math either. Only a miracle could save me. And one day, that, miracle suddenly walked into my room. Hello, Lydia. My name is Greta. I'm going to help you with math. It wasn't actually a miracle. That lady wasn't my fairy godmother, but a tutor. Dad hired her to help me prepare for the difficult exam. Greta had recently moved from Germany. To be honest, whenever I saw her, I got goosebumps. Greta was cold and strict and had no sense of humor whatsoever. Greta, are you by any chance a witch? I don't think it's possible to be this good at math without using black magic. It's a joke. Ha ha, hilarious. Where's your notebook and calculator? See? She was a robot, not a woman. I tried to act friendly, but couldn't break the ice between us. She even scolded me for the mess in my room and the way I looked. Look at yourself, Lydia. Don't you have any nicer clothes? What's wrong with what I'm wearing? Anyway, you're not being paid to teach me how to dress. Long story short, I didn't like Greta right away. Unfortunately, my dad blushed like a schoolboy whenever he saw that Miss Know-It-All. He always dressed up before she came over, trying to impress her. Greta, it's dark. Let me walk you home. After all, I'm what's it called? A gentleman? Exactly. I wanted to wash my eyes with soap whenever I saw Dad flirting with Greta like a moron. I was terrified they would become an item. At school, I told Susan about my concerns, but my friend seemed distracted, and I realized she was upset too. What's up with you? Mom got fired, and we're running out of money. I tried to figure out how to help my friend and had a brilliant idea. Susan's mom was an amazing cook, and we needed a good housekeeper. So I told Susan I would talk to Dad and ask him to hire her. Awesome! Thanks, Lydia! I put in a good word for Susan's mom, and in a couple of days, Miss Parker started working for us. I adored her! She made our house feel like home and cooked delicious dishes for us every day. It was also quite obvious she liked my dad. She even cooked him heart-shaped eggs. However, my dad didn't seem to notice her. It was such a shame. They would have made a good couple. Greta kept surprising me with how rude she was. One day, she was tutoring me when Miss Parker walked in to give me some pancakes. Here's what happened next. See for yourself. Lydia has not yet earned a reward. Quit stuffing her with junk food. That witch slammed the door in our poor housekeeper's face. Can you believe it? The nerve of her! Luckily, studying with my strict tutor yielded results, and I passed the math exam. I could finally prepare for the contest. I wanted to tell Dad about it, but it turned out he had news too. Baby, congratulate us! Sure, congrats. What are you celebrating again? Your dad and I are now a couple. I froze like a statue. No, my worst nightmare had come true. Dad was beaming. I was sure that Greta was a wolf in sheep's clothing and was only dating Dad for his money. Susan agreed with me when I told her everything. Oh, Lydia, I'm so sorry. You're going to have an evil stepmother now. She'll probably turn you into a pumpkin. We'll see about that. I wanted to talk some sense into Dad, but he was always busy with work. Greta was guarding the door to his office like a watchdog. Lydia, don't bother your father. He needs silence to solve business problems. Dad must have had problems with his eyesight too if he couldn't see how cold and mean Greta was. Soon, my stepmother started to stick her nose into my business. One day, I was playing the synthesizer when Greta walked into my room and said she forbade me from taking part in the contest or contacting any producers. You should prepare for the conservatory entrance exams instead. You're not my mother. You can't tell me what to do. I was hoping Dad would take my side, but he told me to listen to Greta. I had to figure out how to get rid of Greta before she moved in with us, so I asked my friend for advice. I have an idea. My mom likes your dad. Let's set them up. Once they get married, we'll be sisters. Cool, right? Susan, you're a freaking genius! Miss Parker was a real sweetheart. She would be a perfect wife for Dad. Susan and I came up with a plan to bring them together. First, we called Greta from a random phone number and told her she had won an evening at a spa on the other side of town. Now, we could be sure she wouldn't suddenly show up and ruin everything. After that, my friend and I set a table for two in the backyard, lit candles, and turned on romantic music. We sent anonymous texts to Dad and Miss Parker with date invitations and went to my room to watch them through a window. Susan's mom was beaming when she showed up in her best dress. However, Dad only had eyes for Greta. Our plan failed miserably. Thank you for the dinner, Miss Parker, but I can't return your feelings. Didn't you invite me here yourself? No. There must have been some sort of mistake. The worst thing was that Greta guessed who had called her. She hissed at me like an evil snake. Because of your stupid prank, I went to the other side of town for nothing. I know that you are trying to break me up with your father. I'm warning you, young lady. Stay out of grown-ups' business. Susan and I were bummed out our plan hadn't worked. The next day, we went shopping to cheer ourselves up. That's when we saw something weird. Greta was shopping too, and then an old man ran up to her with a bouquet. He got down on his knees in front of her and started to beg her for something. Susan and I exchanged shocked glances. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, it seems your stepmother has a lot of admirers. Greta snapped at the old man to go away and got into her car. My friend and I approached that man. How do you know Greta? She only recently moved from Germany. Are you talking about the woman I was just talking to? Her real name is Cindy. She's my daughter, and she's never lived in Germany. Wow! So Greta, or whatever her name was, had made it all up? That's right. This is a detective story now. That old man told us that she had cut him out of her life because she was cold and heartless. Geez, he seemed to really miss her. After telling us his sad story, he left. I knew there was something wrong about Greta. It was all very suspicious. I decided to find out what else she was hiding. But first, I needed to talk to Dad. She must be some sort of con artist. Why else would she change her name? Sweetie, I don't have the time for this now. I've got too many problems at work. He waved me off and locked himself in his office. All of a sudden, Greta stormed up to me, fuming. Oops. Lydia, I'm warning you for the last time. Stay out of my business and don't do anything stupid. I wasn't about to listen to my stepmother. Susan and I brainstormed in my living room, trying to figure out how to expose Greta's lies. And then we realized she left her purse in the room. Bingo! Rummaging through other people's stuff is bad, but this was a special case. You'll never guess what we found! Cindy's marriage certificate! She had a husband called Tom Hill. Next to it was their wedding photo. I couldn't believe it! Was she still married? I had to be sure I got everything right. My friend and I found Tom Hill on social media and called him. He confirmed that Cindy was his wife. She had left a year ago, and he couldn't find her. That was weird. I gave Tom his wife's new address. He thanked me and said that he would come find her soon. Greta was done for! Or rather, Cindy. Immediately after that, I showed Dad everything I found. He was so shocked, he immediately broke up with Greta and chased her away without letting her get a word in. Dad was miserable for the next few days. Luckily, Susan's mom was there to comfort him. My father got better and even started dating Miss Parker. Things were finally looking up, and I could focus on the talent contest. Greta disappeared from our lives, so no one was there to forbid me from participating. My performance was a huge success! The producer I told you about approached me. Yay! Were all my dreams coming true? Lydia, I'll make you a star. But first, you need to lose weight, change your style, and get a new haircut. She listed a bunch of conditions I had to comply with if I wanted to sign a contract with her. To be honest, I was very confused. After all, I thought that what mattered was my talent. What did my looks have to do with it? I told her I needed time to think. I wanted to ask my dad for advice. However, when I came back home, I heard shouting. My dad had apparently confessed to Miss Parker that he had business problems, and we would have to move into a smaller house. Susan's mom reacted very weirdly to the news. What? I seduced you because you had money, but if you're bankrupt now, I'd rather find someone richer. She grabbed Susan's hand and left. Dad and I stared at each other for a long time, dumbfounded. I was so lost. I had tried to fix my life so hard, but all my dreams burst like soap bubbles. The producer and Miss Parker turned out to be as fake as the Monopoly money. I was in a terrible mood, so I decided to go for a walk. While wandering around the city, I ran into Greta's father. He was sitting on a bench and staring into space. I sat down next to him and asked if he had managed to reconcile with his daughter. "No, honey. I don't think she will ever forgive me." And then he told me why their relationship was so bad. It turned out that Greta had been a great singer as a kid. Her father wanted to use her talent to get rich. He made her work non-stop. Greta grew to hate the stage because her producers kept demanding dumb stuff from her and wouldn't let her rest. She broke off all contact with her dad when she grew up. Wow, now it was clear to me why she didn't want me to talk to any producers. Greta didn't want me to repeat her mistakes. Wait, could it be that, in her own way, she had been taking care of me? I told the old man that his daughter had been dating my dad, even though she was actually married to some guy called Tom. I even tracked him down and gave him Greta's new address. The old man's eyes bulged in horror. "Oh, what have you done? Her husband is a tyrant. My daughter has been trying to get a divorce for many years, but Tom wouldn't sign the papers. She ran away and even changed her name so that he wouldn't find her. Oh no! I had to warn Greta that her husband knew where to find her. I frantically called her, but she didn't answer. Think, Lydia, think! How could I fix everything?" My heart sank. I felt like something terrible was about to happen, so I called Dad and told him everything. "It's my fault Greta is in danger. We need to do something." My dad immediately picked me up, and we headed to Greta's house. We arrived just in time. That nasty Tom was already there. "I finally found you, Cindy. You're not going anywhere now." Dad suddenly turned into some sort of action hero and easily overpowered that bastard. Meanwhile, I called the police. Soon, Tom was behind bars. He had it coming. "Thank you. I was so scared." "Well, what's it called? A gentleman?" "Exactly." Things went back to normal. Greta finally got divorced and was now getting ready to marry my dad. I was happy for them because I was sure Greta wasn't with Dad for his money. That's love, guys. I used to think Greta was cold, but it turned out she had been through a lot and didn't trust easily. Soon, she finally found the strength to forgive her father. As for me, I realized that music was more important to me than signing a suspicious contract. So I refused to follow the dumb rules of that producer. I still have a question. What should I call you? Greta or Cindy? Which name do you like more? I could call you Mom? Oh, Lydia, come here, sweetie. We hugged, and the ice between us finally melted. One evening, Susan suddenly came over. "I'm so sorry about my mom. I had no idea she was planning all that." "Come on, let the adults worry about that. Our friendship is too important to me. I think our parents can solve their problems themselves after all. There are other things we should focus on. For example, passing the next math test. Share your stories in the comments down below, and see you in the next video. Bye!